Shalom, shalom. Knock Nawaha Ibar Sha'Allah Walakim La'atam. Call Shabawai Baharacha Wa Kakshaw Yahawah Bahashim Yahushah. Hey, with the Hebrew Israelites coming to you week in and week out through the spirit and power of Yahawah Bahashim Yahushah to preach to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, and Israelite foreigners. L'cham Atam Kaya Hamalakwat Hashemayim Korab. Repent, yea, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call Layim La Yahawah Bahashim Yahushah Bashim Cha HaKodash. Wa mashana kabadim zekoyim nawa. Wa malakam shoya shala zekoyim chagada wall. Wa chasa wa shalamam wa barakim lahabachai shagwa shalamam. That's all praise to the Most High Yahweh, which means He exists. Bahashem, in the name Yahweh Shai He delivers. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Israel, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and mercy, peace, and blessings to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom, which means peace. This is the Volume chapter 111 and verse 10. All right. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and good understanding have all they that do His commandments. His praise endureth forever. All right, when you go into this word fear, it says Yara'ah, all right, which means to reverence, respect, all right, piety, revered. All right, and how do you do this? You do it by rehearsing the law. All right, that's how one begins to that's the beginning of wisdom, reverencing the Lord, doing what He says. All right, that's where wisdom starts. All right, and those that observe His law also going into the whole book, because the scripture is known as the book of the law. All right, when you go into, it says good understanding, which is shakal tawab. So it says, go to it. It says shakal. All right, it says those that do His do the work, keep the word. They have good prudence, insight, understanding, and good sense. All right, that's where the term common sense comes from. All right. But let's keep going. This is Shapatiyim, also Judges chapter 5 and verse 11. It says, they that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of His villages in Yasha'Allah. And then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates. All right, so the elect, the ones that's going to make it out of the places of captivity. That's what drawing water represents. All right, the places of captivity, chiefly Babylon. All right, but they're going to rehearse the righteous acts, being the righteous acts of the law. All right, which is 600 plus laws in the scriptures, as well as the rest of the Bible. Again, because it's known as the book of the law. Now let's get that. This is Yahweh Shah, chapter 1. Salat. Chapter 1 and verse 8. Joshua 1 and 8, it says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do, according to all that is written therein. All right, that's the book of the law, the scriptures. For then shalt thou make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. All right, I'm gonna go back to that Psalms chapter 111 and verse 10. It says understanding. Because chiefly going into insight, prudence, and good sense. But you see that word shakal, understanding, also goes into success. All right, because going back to Joshua 1 and 8. Joshua 1 and verse 8. It says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, daily, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. All right. So one will have good success by keeping the word. All right. which includes, the 600 plus laws and the rest of the scriptures. All right, we're going to the Barium Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse 4. It says, "But ye that did cleave unto the Lord, your power are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I've taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who hath the Most High so nigh unto them, as the Lord our power is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that hath statutes and judgments so righteous as this law, which I set before you this day? Only take heed to thyself, and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life, but teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons." Okay, and those, when you go into the word cleave, it goes into adhere. So those that adhere to what the Lord said, those that adhere to the Lord, are alive. All right, because the law, statutes, and commandments bring life. Okay, I'm gonna go to it says diligently, which comes from the word ma'ad. All right, it says ma'ad, which means it says exceedingly, muchness, force, abundance, exceedingly. Down here it says properly, all right, vehemence, vehemently, all right, with force. You're gonna uphold them. All right, going into like if you went to Exodus chapter 20 and verse 6, it talks about keeping the law. All right, so you're gonna keep it. That word goes into observing it, but it also goes into upholding it. Not trampling it underfoot. Guarding it. Because that's what keeps us alive. Okay, so this is the next precept. This is HaThawrah, chapter 15 and verse 18. It says, "For the wisdom of the Lord is great. He is mighty in power and beholdeth all things. The Lord sees everything, and his eyes are upon them that fear him. And he knoweth every work of man." All right, because the Lord's eyes is 10,000 times brighter than the sun, roughly paraphrasing. "He commanded no man to do wickedly, neither hath he given any man license to sin." All right, again, so the Lord knows everything that man does. All right, the Lord doesn't condone wickedness, so he doesn't approve of wickedness. All right, so it says, neither hath he given any man license to sin. So he isn't permitting anybody to sin. All right, so let's get what sin is. Because a Christian to say, hey, they make something up. They go off the fly. All right, this is because the law is still in effect. This is First Yachanan, also First John 3 and 4. It says, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. All right, so the transgression of the law going into, it says transgressors going into basically breaking the law. I don't see it in the concordance. Yeah, to break the law. Moving on, this is HaThawrah, chapter 32. Verse 24, it says, "He that believeth in the Lord taketh heed to the commandment." All right, when you take heed to something, you're listening to it. "And he that trusteth in him shall fare never the worse." All right, so the ones that love the Lord, they're going to listen to what he says. All right, and what do you find what he says? You find it in the law. All right, and the rest of the scriptures. All right. They're gonna confide. They're gonna confide in the Lord. It says, I'm reading again. He that believeth in the Lord taketh heed to the commandment, and he that trusteth in him shall fare never the worse. Okay, so that man is gonna fare never the worse. All right, so he's gonna be in safety, and he won't be in the worst case scenario. You know. All right, this is second HaThawrah, also second Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 24. It says, woe to them that sin. All right, we just got what sin was. Sin is the transgression of the law. So you break the law, you're sinning. And keep not my commandments, saith the Lord. All right, so woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, saith the Lord. And how do you keep the commandments? Actually, let's get an example of that. We're going to go to Exodus. Exodus 20, verse 6. Get this word for keep. It says, shamar, to guard, to keep, to guard, to observe, give heed, to keep, retain, treasure up in memory. You want to keep them in your memory, you know. Keep them in your mind. It says, to beware, take heed, keep oneself, refrain, abstain. All right, so you want to keep these close to you. You know, you don't want to forget about the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, you don't want to forget about the scriptures. All right, I'm going to read it again. It says, second HaThawrah 15 and verse 24. Woe, destruction to them that sin and keep not my commandments. How would you know, unless you're reading it, you know, how would you know what not to do? You know, you got to keep it in your mind. It says, and keep not my commandments, saith the Lord. All right, I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary. For the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. So those that, you know, break the law get death and destruction. All right, and we're going to get into that. We're going to get into some of the law, Lord's will. All right, we're going to go to John chapter 14 and verse 15. It says, if ye love me, keep my commandments. All right, and this is an action word. All right, and let's prove that. This is First John chapter 5 and verse 3. It says, for this is the love of the Most High, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. All right, so that explains what the love of the Lord is. All right, it's keeping his commandments, keeping his word. All right, keeping them close to you so that you don't do, what's that verse, to his word. And his commandments, it says, and his commandments are not grievous. All right, they are not severe. Going to his word grievous, it says heavy in weight, metaphorically burdensome, severe, stern, weighty, or of great moment, violent, cruel, unsparing. All right, and the word is beneficial to us. All right, but I'm also going to the word commandment. It says an order, command, charge, precept, injunction. All right, and when you go into the Old Testament, pretty much says the same thing. Commandment, the commandment of God, code of wisdom. It says ordinance, precept. All right, and it's another one. I think it goes into the law, but that goes into it says like a prophetic message or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I'm gonna go to it. This pretty much says something similar, but it was another word I was looking for. But I'm gonna just keep going. I'm gonna keep going. This is Romans This is Romans chapter 2 and verse 27. All right, because a lot of times, so-called Christians is like to say, hey, we don't got to keep the law. Law is done away with, so you can eat shrimps, lobster, you can eat pork, you can do whatever you want, get a line up, shave your beard. That's what so-called Christians would say. All right, this is Romans chapter 2 and verse 27. It says, and shall not, well, I'm gonna start from verse 27. It says, therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? All right, so is this one I wanted? Okay, never mind. Yeah, 27 says, and shall not uncircumcision which is by nature. All right, so if somebody's uncircumcised by nature, all right, if they don't, if they're born into heathenistic customs, all right, and shall not uncircumcision which is by nature, being born into heathenistic customs like we was in America, Babylon the Great, before receiving the truth. If it fulfill the law, he comes back, he repents. Judge thee who by the letter and circumcision do transgress the law. And yeah, they could, because they're of the nation of Yasha, and they came back and they repented. For he is not a Jew which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh, but he is a Jew which is one inwardly. And circumcision is that of the heart, of the mind, and in the spirit, and not in the letter. Because going into the letter, we're not required to keep the whole law, because we're in these bodies. We can't keep the whole law. All right. Whose praise is not of men, but of the Most High. All right. Let's get another one. This is HaThawrah chapter 119, also Psalms 119 and verse 1. It says, blessed are the undefiled in the way. Blessed are the undefiled in the way who walk in the law of the Lord. All right. And again, going into the laws and also the word. All right. They're going to be truly blessed. Let me get some, get these in the concordance. All right. It says, undefiled. The Mayim. All right. The Mayim, it says, without blemish, perfect, upright, without spot, uprightly, whole, sincerely, complete, full. All right. So the blameless ones. All right. It says, without blemish, complete, full, perfect, sincerely sound, without spot, undefiled, uprightly, whole. All right. So again, the blameless one, the elect. All right. So the elect that walk in the way, who walk in the law of the Lord, blessed are they that keep his testimonies and that seek him with the whole heart. They also do no iniquity. They walk in his ways. So you can't do any iniquity if you're walking in the way of the Lord. All right. I'm going to it says walk, because this goes into your conduct. To go walk, to go walk, come, depart, proceed, move, go away. To die, live, manner of life. All right. So how you conduct yourself. All right. Those that conduct themselves righteously, ultimately going into the elect, they don't do any iniquity. Now they're gonna have some slip ups, but ultimately they're walking blamelessly. All right, because nobody is perfect. We're not called to be perfect. What makes the elect perfect is their belief. All right, and their belief is gonna have the works to follow with it. All right, it says thou hast commanded us to keep thy precepts diligently. All right, and that's how you keep your mind. How you guard your mind, by keeping the precepts and doing everything in the scriptures that is said to be done. Because when you go to Revelation chapter, the 3rd chapter, it talks about being lukewarm and being on fire. If you're on fire, you're gonna be diligent. All right. So it says, oh, that my ways were directed to keep thy statutes. Then shall I not be ashamed when I have respect unto all thy commandments. I will praise thee with uprightness of heart, when I shall have learned thy righteous judgments. All right, so you won't be ashamed if you're following the Lord. Ashamed going into abawash, or slak. Yeah, abawash, which means I. The I in front of the word is I, but the word is bawash. It says to be put to shame, be ashamed, be disconcerted, be disappointed, feel shame. Confused. You won't be confused following the Lord. The scriptures say we have a more sure word of prophecy. So different things will happen. On the walk. But you understand why you're going through it. Whereas somebody outside of this truth, they're confused. They don't have any anchor. They don't have any foundation to hold themselves. And that's why a lot of people, you see like just randomly like old man kills 5 people and then shoots himself, because he doesn't know why he's going through the things that he's going through. He doesn't have a foundation or anchor. Excuse me. So this is back to HaThawrah 119 and verse 8. It says, I will keep thy statutes, O forsake me not utterly. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. With my whole heart have I sought thee. O let me not wander from thy commandments. All right, and those two are synonymous, the word and the commandments, you see. But that's how you cleanse your way, by taking heed to the word, And again, so-called Christians, they'll be like, oh well, if you trying to uphold the law, you going off. Now it's some understanding in that. But again, you can't keep the whole law, but that don't mean that it's done away with, which we can get to, Lord's will. So this is Galatians 3 and 22. This is Galatians chapter 3 and verse 22. It says, but the scripture hath concluded all under sin, that the promise by faith of Hamashiach Yahushua might be given to them that believe. All right, so we're all guilty under sin. All right, and the kingdom's going to be given to those that have faith in Hamashiach Yahushua. All right. Ultimately going into the elect, it says, but before faith came, we were kept under the law, shut up unto the faith which should afterwards be revealed. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Hamashiach, that we might be justified by faith. All right, so the law served as a vehicle to get us to Hamashiach, all right, which basically was to guide us, all right, up until that time. All right, so it says, but after that faith has come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster. All right, so ultimately, in the end, that was to get us to the point where we was justified, or where the elect, I brought that up, we endured to the end, but to where the elect is justified by faith and belief in Hamashiach Yahushua. All right. I got a couple more. So this is, oh man, I wrote the wrong precept down, but this is Romans chapter 3 and verse 27. It says, whereas boasting then, it is excluded by what law of works? Nay, but the law of faith. All right, so I'm going to read it again. It says, whereas boasting then, it is excluded by what law of works? Nay, but by the law of faith. All right, so we couldn't boast. Yeah, we couldn't boast because we can't keep the whole law. All right, verse 20, I'll read the latter part. It says, it is excluded by what law of works? It's not of works. Again, because we can't keep the whole thing. It says, nay, but by the law of faith. You see, because, again, the elect is going to be justified by faith. All right, verse 28, it says, therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. So You know, you got camps that be like, oh, the law, the law, the law, the law, this, the law, that. You know, but you can't keep the whole law, so you can't boast in that. You know, it says, is he the God, the power of the Jews only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Going into the Israelite foreigners, yes, of the Gentiles also. Seeing it is one power which shall justify the circumcision by faith and the uncircumcision through faith, do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid, yet we establish the law. Now let's go into what the word void means. It says, do we make void? To render idle, unemployed, inactivate, cause to cease, put an end to, do away, make void. Basically, to treat it with as if it's not there, you know. It says, do we then make void the law? You know, treat it as if it's not there. The law through faith. God forbid, yet we establish the law. All right, so back to Romans 3 and verse 31. It says, do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid, yet we establish the law. All right, when you go into the word void, it basically means to treat it as if it's not there. You know, I'm gonna get a literal definition. It says, make void, to render idle, abolish, cease, to bring to naught, or put down, vanish away. You know, it's still there. You can't make it void. It says, do we then make void the law through faith? Because the elect is going to be justified by faith. You know, would you then make it void? It says, God forbid, yet we establish the law. And you're going to establish. It says, to set, make firm, fix, establish, uphold, or sustain the authority or force of anything. Continue, abide, appoint, bring, continue, covenant, establish, hold up. All right, so now we're gonna hold it up. You know, we're not going to be justified by just keeping the law. You know, but the law is still in effect. All right, you can still be judged by the things in the law. And what I mean by that is, you got laws that have a punishment of death. You know, you can still be judged for that. All right, and being that, the Lord loves those that dwell with wisdom. You know, it will be wise to do what he says. All right. So continuing on, this is HaThawrah, also Matthew chapter 17 and verse 19, because this goes into, a lot of so-called Christians like to say, hey, actually it's not set. Is it 17? Yeah, 17 and verse 19. A lot of Christians like to say, basically that, Yahweh came to do away with the law. All right, but that's not true. I don't think it was this one. This is Matthew chapter 5 and verse 17. It says, think not that I am come to destroy the law of the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. It says, whosoever shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. All right. So, Hamashiach Yahweh didn't come to destroy or fulfill. All right, now let's see what that's getting into as well. This is Luke chapter 24 and verse 44. It says, and he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled which were written in the law of Moshe and in the prophets and in the Psalms concerning me. All right, so he's talking about everything that's written in the scriptures, talking about him. That's what it means to fulfill. All right. So, and some prophecies haven't been fulfilled yet. You know, back to Matthew chapter 5. In verse 17, it says, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law of the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill." It says, "Verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled." All right, so nothing's going to pass from the law. It's not going to be done away with. I'm going to get this in the NLT. It says, I tell you the truth, until heaven and earth disappear, not even the smallest detail of God's law will disappear until its purpose is achieved. All right, and heaven and earth isn't going to pass, and we know this because if you go to Quahalath, Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 4, it says, one generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. So the earth is forever. All right, so the law is forever. All right, and those that teach men, like verse 19 said, to do so, to treat the law and the word as if it doesn't have any type of value, they're going to be called the least in the kingdom. All right, that's not what you want. All right, this is James chapter 1 and verse 22. It says, "But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves." All right, so be a doer of the word, have faith, and have the works. All right, it says, "Or if any be a doer of the word, and a hearer of the word, and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in the glass. For he beholdeth himself, and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed." All right, so those that continue in the perfect law of liberty, all right, they're going to be blessed. All right, the ones that take, read again, it says, "But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed." All right, so those that believe and rehearse the righteous acts, being a doer of the work, they're going to take full advantage of the law of liberty, which means to take away things that don't pertain to salvation, and to add things that pertain to salvation. They're going to be blessed. And when you go into the word blessed, it means happy, fortunate, or well off. All right. So I got a couple more. This is James chapter 2 and verse 18. It says, "Yea, man say, thou hast faith, I have works. Shew me thy faith without thy works, and I will shew thee my faith by my works. Thou believest that there is one God. Thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble." So Esau know there's a power out there, and they tremble. It says, But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead." When you go into a sport, you have coaches and stuff like that. You can say, hey, you want to make it to the top, but you gotta you have to show like the work ethic, in order to make it to the top, So you got to show that you have drive. It says, and that driving mechanism in the scriptures is the faith. It says, "What not Abraham our father being justified by works, when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect." And that's why he was imputed righteous, because he had faith, and that faith pushed forth his works. All right, and we see this in Romans chapter 4, and also Hebrews chapter 11. It says, "And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of the Most High. Yea, see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only," because you got to have both. "Likewise also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works, when she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way? For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also." Again, so you got to have both of them. All right, so because your faith is what reflects if you really believe, because you're going to do what a true believer would be doing. Okay, and let's go to Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. I'll read verse 1. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of the Most High, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. All right. It says, by faith Abel offered unto the Most High a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead yet speaketh. All right. So faith is what made those great men in the scriptures righteous, as well as Abraham. He had the faith which pushed forth his works. Down here it says, by faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place where he should after receive an inheritance, obeyed and went out, not knowing whither he went. All right, and this was because his faith drove forth his works. All right, and he obeyed. All right, that's why he was imputed righteousness. And I'm gonna actually get that example as well. This is Romans. This is an instance where Abraham was imputed righteousness. Let me see if I can find it. Verse 3. I'm starting from verse 1. What shall we say then? This is Romans 4:1. What shall we say then that Abraham our father, as pertaining to the flesh, hath found? For if Abraham were justified by works, he hath whereof to glory, but not before the Most High. For what saith the scripture? Abraham believed the Most High, going into his faith, and it was counted unto him for righteousness. So he had faith. Going back to what we just read, it was at James chapter 2 and verse 21 or verse 23. His faith is what his belief, his faith was what made him the friend of the Most High. That's why he was justified. All right. Then we're going to go to HaThawrah chapter 19 and verse 7. It says, the law of the Most High is perfect. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. Okay, so the law of the Lord is perfect. All right, it makes those that are simple, those that are foolish, it makes them wise, and it converts the soul. It says, the statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandments of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. All right, and that word pure, or the word enlightening, goes into, it says, it's a lot. It goes into Ma'ayarath, which means metaphorically luminous, illuminates the eyes, so you can see in this dark world. It says the fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. And the fear of the Lord, going into the laws, all right, going into his word. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. All right, so being that it's clean, it endures forever, that means it's forever. And the law of the Lord is perfect. Why would the law be done away with? It's not, And going into the different scriptures that we went into, Matthew chapter 5, what else? Matthew 5, Romans 3 and verse 31, we established the law. All right. Those in the spirit of keeping the whole law, and those that are in the spirit of not even, or those that are in the spirit of trying to keep the whole law, and those that are in the spirit of, just disregarding it, both of those are off. You see, because we're supposed to rehearse. We're going back to the rehearsal, Shaphat Yom, Judges 5 and 11. They that are in the places of drawing waters will rehearse the righteous acts. All right, you're not going to get a rehearsal perfect, but you got to put forth a sincere effort. You see, like if you was warming up for like a football game or something, like you'll do all the movements, you won't get it perfect, but you'll get all the mechanics down. You get the techniques down, same like with like a boxing match or something like that. You're not giving it your all right before the fight. You I wouldn't say going through the motions, but you're making sure you're sharp. You're making sure your technique is on point. All right, well, yeah, that's essentially what rehearsing the righteous acts is, but you're putting your best foot forth. You see, so Lord's will, those edifying. Call her Layim La Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua Bahashim Kakudash. Hey, double honor to the elders and apostle great Milson that taught me the truth and rule well, and much respect to you brothers out there pushing this truth with all righteousness and sincerity. Shalom, shalom. I route to shalom.